Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you are passionate about discussing global issues effectively in English.
Yeah.
Whether you're aiming to make a splash in international debates or craft powerful essays or simply have more insightful conversations,
Oh, yeah.
having the right language tools can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
So we're diving into discussing global issues. Effectively in English, a guide packed with vocabulary, phrases, and tips.
You know, what's fascinating about this guide is that it goes beyond just language acquisition.
Okay.
It equips you to understand and articulate complex global challenges, which is crucial for anyone who wants to engage in meaningful discussions and contribute to positive change.
It's not just about talking the talk, it's about understanding the walk.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump right in. The guide kicks off with some key vocabulary.
Yep.
Not just a dry list, but words that are truly the building blocks for impactful conversations about global issues.
For sure.
Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are the foundations. You can't build a house without a strong foundation.
Right. Okay, so let's start with maybe climate change. How does the guide tackle that one?
Well, it gives, a simple definition, sure, but then it goes deeper, provides the example. Climate change is causing more frequent and severe natural disasters.
Okay.
But think about the implications of that. This isn't just an abstract concept. It's impacting real people, real places right now.
Right.
We're seeing, more intense hurricanes, devastating droughts, and rising sea levels that threaten entire coastal communities.
Whoa, that puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
It's one thing to know the definition, but it's another to connect it to those real-world consequences. Okay, what about poverty?
Oh, poverty. Well, it defines it as lack of access to basic needs. Education, healthcare, and, of course, income. But the guide highlights an example. Poverty affects access to education, healthcare, and basic needs.
Okay.
It's a cycle, you see. Poverty limits opportunities, and those limited opportunities perpetuate poverty.
Yeah.
It's a complex issue with deep roots, and this guide helps us understand that complexity.
I'm starting to see how this guide goes beyond just surface-level definitions.
Yes.
It's giving us a framework to really grapple with these issues. What other vocabulary terms stand out to you?
One that's particularly relevant in today's interconnected world is globalization. The guide explains that it involves the increasing integration of economies and societies worldwide, right? It gives the example, globalization has both positive and negative effects on economies. So this encourages us to consider, the different perspectives.
Yeah.
It's brought economic growth to some, but it's also led to job displacement and cultural homogenization in others.
So it's like every complex issue has this web of interconnected factors.
Right.
We can't just look at one piece in isolation. So how does the guide suggest we actually use these terms in conversation?
Well, that's where the phrases for discussion come in. The guide doesn't just, throw a bunch of random expressions at you. It organizes them by function. Want to describe a problem? You've got phrases like, this issue stems from, or the root cause of this problem is. Ready to talk solutions. Try one way to address this is, or a potential solution could be.
Okay. I'm liking this structured approach. It's like having a toolbox for conversation where each tool has a specific purpose.
Yeah, like that.
Okay. What about when you want to express your own opinion?
Okay.
I always struggle with sounding confident, but also respectful.
Oh, yeah, that's a common challenge.
Yeah.
And the guide addresses it head on, provides phrases that strike that balance, such as, I believe that, or from my perspective. And if you want to acknowledge different viewpoints, you can use phrases like, well, some people argue, I believe.
I can already see how these phrases could be helpful, like in a debate or even a casual conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about having those go-to expressions that allow you to articulate your thoughts clearly and respectfully. What about when you want to inspire action? That's a key part of discussing global issues, right?
Absolutely. And the guide provides some powerful phrases for just that purpose. You could say something like, it's imperative that we take action, or we have a collective responsibility to. These phrases add a sense of urgency and a call to action.
Okay, so we've got the vocabulary, we've got the phrases. Now, how do we actually put it all together?
Well, the guide suggests doing a practice run with some of the issues we've mentioned. It's like a test drive for our newfound language skills.
Let's do it. I'm feeling ready to tackle a real global issue using all the tools we've uncovered.
All right, let's see how it goes.
All right, so we've got our vocabulary and phrases down. It's like we've assembled this amazing toolkit for discussing global issues. Now let's put those tools to the test.
Exactly. The guide, it encourages us to go beyond simply describing problems and move towards actively engaging in the search for solutions.
Yeah, it's not enough to just talk about these issues, right? We need to be able to articulate solutions and inspire action.
Exactly. And the guide offers some compelling strategies for doing just that. One approach it highlights is framing global issues as shared challenges requiring collective action. So instead of focusing on blame or division, it encourages finding common ground and working together toward a better future.
Yeah, that's a really powerful concept. It's easy to get caught up in the negativity surrounding global issues, but highlighting the potential for positive change is so crucial.
Absolutely, yeah. Another strategy the guide emphasizes is tailoring your message to your audience. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? You need to consider who you're talking to, their values and concerns, and how to connect with them on an emotional level.
So it's about more than just presenting facts and figures, right?
Hmm.
It's about crafting a narrative that resonates with people and makes them care about the issue.
Precisely. And the guide provides some helpful tips for doing just that. For example, it suggests using vivid imagery and compelling narratives to bring the issue to life. Statistics can be informative, but they often lack the emotional punch of a well-told story.
Yeah, that makes sense. People might forget a statistic, but they're more likely to remember a story that, touched their heart or sparked their imagination. So, let's put this into practice. Remember those practice exercises from the guide that touched on climate change, poverty, and global health?
Yeah.
Let's dive deeper into one of those issues and see how we can apply what we've learned.
Sounds great. Which issue would you like to explore further?
Let's tackle poverty. It's a complex issue with, far-reaching consequences, and I'm curious to see how we can use the strategies we've discussed to engage in a meaningful discussion about it.
Excellent choice. Poverty is a global challenge that demands our attention and our action. So, how can we approach this topic in a way that is both informative and engaging?
Well, the guide stressed the importance of establishing a shared understanding of the issue, right? So maybe we could start by defining poverty and its multifaceted nature.
I completely agree. We could say something like, poverty is not just about a lack of income. It's about being deprived of basic opportunities and resources that prevent individuals and communities from reaching their full potential. It's about acknowledging that poverty has far-reaching consequences that extend beyond just financial hardship.
Exactly. It impacts education, healthcare, access to clean water and sanitation, and so much more.
Precisely. Once we've established that foundation, we could delve into some of the root causes of poverty. We could discuss lack of access to education, healthcare, and decent work opportunities.
Yeah.
We could also touch upon systemic factors like discrimination, inequality, and lack of social mobility. It's about painting a complete picture of the issue, moving beyond simplistic explanations and getting to the heart of the matter.
And when it comes to discussing solutions, the guide encouraged us to focus on collective action and a hopeful outlook, right?
Yes, it's crucial to emphasize that there are concrete steps we can take to address poverty. We could explore a range of approaches, from investing in education and job training programs to promoting fair trade practices and empowering marginalized communities. It's about showcasing that there are solutions and inspiring people to get involved.
Okay, that was a really insightful breakdown of how to approach the topic of poverty. Now, what about global health? How could we engage in a discussion about that issue using the tools we've acquired?
Global health is a vast and complex topic, but we can break it down into manageable pieces. The guide reminds us to start by defining key terms. So what comes to mind when you think about global health?
Well, I immediately think about access to healthcare, disease prevention, and health equity. These are all essential components of global health.
You're spot on, and the guide provides examples of how to use these terms in a sentence. For instance, we could say access to quality healthcare is essential for promoting global health and well-being. Or disease prevention programs play a vital role in protecting populations from infectious diseases.
I see how those phrases provide a solid framework for discussing specific aspects of global health. But what about those larger, more systemic issues that impact global health? Things like poverty, conflict, and environmental degradation.
That's a great point. Global health is interconnected with so many other global challenges. The guide encourages us to make these connections explicit in our discussions. For example, we could say, poverty exacerbates health inequities by limiting access to healthcare, nutritious food, and clean water. Or, armed conflict can disrupt healthcare systems and lead to widespread displacement, increasing vulnerability to disease.
Wow, those statements really highlight the interconnectedness of these issues. It's not just about healthcare and isolation, it's about understanding how poverty, conflict, and environmental factors all play a role.
Exactly. And when it comes to solutions, we need to consider those interconnections. The guide emphasizes the importance of advocating for policies and programs that address the root causes of health inequities.
So instead of just focusing on treating diseases, we need to address the social, economic, and environmental factors that contribute to poor health in the first place.
You got it. It's about taking a holistic approach to global health. And the guide provides phrases to help us articulate that. We could say, investing in education and economic opportunities can empower communities to improve their health outcomes.
Hmm.
Or, protecting the environment is essential for safeguarding public health and preventing the spread of disease.
I love how these phrases connect global health to broader issues of social justice and environmental sustainability. It's about seeing the bigger picture and advocating for systemic change.
Now, let's move on to our final practice area, climate change. This is a topic that often generates a lot of debate and strong opinions. How can we use the guide's strategies to navigate those conversations effectively?
Well, the guide emphasized the importance of staying informed and using credible sources, right? We need to be able to back up our claims with evidence and avoid spreading misinformation.
Absolutely. It's crucial to rely on scientific consensus and data from reputable sources. The guide reminds us that climate change is a complex issue with far-reaching consequences. It suggests using phrases like, the scientific evidence overwhelmingly points to human activity as the primary driver of climate change, or climate change poses a significant threat to human health, ecosystems, and the global economy.
Those phrases really drive home the urgency and gravity of the situation. But how can we avoid getting bogged down in negativity and despair? The guide also encouraged a solutions-oriented approach, didn't it?
You're right. It's essential to balance acknowledging the challenges with highlighting the potential for positive change. The guide suggests using phrases like, transitioning to renewable energy sources can create jobs, reduce pollution, and mitigate climate change. Or, investing in sustainable agriculture practices can enhance food security, protect biodiversity, and sequester carbon.
I love how those statements connect climate action to other benefits, like economic growth and food security. It's a reminder that addressing climate change isn't just about saving the planet. It's about creating a more just and sustainable world for all.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that everyone has a role to play in addressing climate change. The guide encourages us to use phrases that empower individuals to take action. We could say, making conscious choices about our consumption habits can reduce our carbon footprint. Or advocating for policies that support climate action can make a real difference.
Okay, I'm feeling much more equipped to engage in meaningful conversations about these complex global issues. The guide has provided us with a valuable framework for understanding the issues, articulating solutions, and inspiring action.
You've done a great job applying the strategies we've discussed. It's clear you're ready to take these skills out into the world and make your voice heard.
Welcome back to our deep dive into discussing global issues effectively in English.
It's been quite a journey exploring those vocabulary tools and strategies for engaging in these, complex conversations.
Yeah, we've definitely covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have.
From understanding key terms to framing issues in a way that inspires action, I feel like I've gained so much from this deep dive.
Yeah, me too. But remember, this guide is just a starting point. The real learning happens when you take these tools and apply them to real-world discussions and debates.
Right, yeah. So what advice would you give to our listener who wants to continue honing these skills and stay informed about global issues? Where do they go from here?
Well, one of the best ways to stay informed is to, immerse yourself in diverse sources of information. Don't just stick to one news outlet or perspective.
Right.
Read articles from international publications, listen to podcasts that feature experts from different fields, watch documentaries that explore global issues from various angles.
It's about being a global citizen, right?
Exactly.
Actively seeking out information and perspectives from beyond our own borders.
Exactly. The more you expose yourself to different viewpoints, the better equipped you'll be to engage in nuanced and informed conversations.
Absolutely. And don't forget those tips on respectful dialogue we discussed earlier. Those are crucial when you're engaging with people who hold different opinions.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, it's not about trying to win an argument. It's about listening actively, seeking understanding, and finding common ground. You might even discover new insights and solutions that you wouldn't have considered before.
It's like that saying, the mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open, right? The more open we are to hearing different perspectives, the more effectively we can engage with these complex global issues.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, change starts with action. It's not enough to simply be aware of global issues. We need to find ways to contribute to solutions.
So what are some concrete steps our listener can take to move beyond awareness and into action?
There are so many ways to get involved. Volunteer your time to organizations working on the front lines of global issues, donate to causes you believe in, or use your voice to advocate for policies that promote positive change.
Yeah, it's about finding what you're passionate about and channeling that passion into action. Even small actions can make a difference.
Absolutely. And one final thought I want to leave you with is this. Never underestimate the power of your voice. Use it wisely, use it effectively, and use it to make the world a better place.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. It's been a pleasure joining you on this deep dive. To our listener, thank you for being here and for your commitment to understanding and addressing global issues. Remember, you have the power to make a difference.